Contemporary entrepreneurship, exciting new product we've had out for a little while now. We're going to go through all the parts and pieces today. I'm going to take you through a lesson, help you understand just what this is. But again, it's a 2 to 3 week unit all about entrepreneurship. We take students through all the basic parts and pieces of writing a business proposal, or from marketing to finances to legal things. And then they actually have a final culminating day, which is the product pitch day, where they actually pitch their product or service idea to a panel. So if an instructor taught everything in it as it's laid out, it can be anywhere from 14 to 23 hours approximately, depending how deep they would go. $7.99, and we have you can see our SKU there from our website. So all the parts and pieces that are in it. We have spiral bound curriculum of 10 lessons. We do have that online link where they access the slide presentations that go with all of the lessons. They get that certificate of completion if they wish to give that to their students. This is one we're going to talk a little bit more about the vocabulary flashcards. There, for each lesson, we have some key vocabulary terms that we've turned into some printable flashcards that help provide some language arts skills and terminology development in each lesson. And then, of course, we have the workbooks, which are that consumable. So when we came up with our program, we always look to standards to help guide the content development. What are teachers teaching about entrepreneurship? So there are national content standards for entrepreneurship education. I've got the link here. So those were the standards we looked at first, but then it was interesting when I was doing some of the survey work and talking to teachers about entrepreneurship. They also mentioned the U.S. Small Business Administration 10 steps to starting a business, and many of them also use that. So we also do align to that, and both of them work very well together, those standards and the SBA guidelines. So those are the two that we have alignments with. And here's kind of how our 10 lessons align with each of them. And you can see we cover everything in the entrepreneurship standards, and for the Small Business Administration, we cover those align in lessons 3 through 10. So we do a good job of covering all the topics that a program should be talking about in an entrepreneurship strand or program. So let's take a closer look at how our 10 lessons lay out. Each of them includes a pre or post test with an answer key. We always integrate assessment because we want it to be very easy for instructors to just have students kind of test themselves. What do they know about it? And then at the end, it can really show what they have learned over the course of each of the lessons. Slide presentations are terrific because anybody can teach from them. There's extensive notes that go with each and every slide. So it's easy that anybody can teach from these lessons. You don't have to be a business educator or even an entrepreneur yourself. These things are ready to go. Everything you need to teach from is in that lesson. So it's very, very helpful. And again, we save teachers time. That's what we try to do. And we try to make it very easy. In the workbook, students will get, it extends the learning that they've learned the content in the lesson through the lecture and the notes and things like that. Then they apply it in those activities in the workbook. And that's something that students get to keep. So during the course, they are using the workbook also to be putting together their business plan notes and planning and coming up with that idea. And they're doing it all in that workbook. So it's a great reference piece. And then the vocabulary cards, again, integrate Common Core Language Arts standards into CTE. A few other benefits of the program, that storage box makes it really, really easy to teach something for a few weeks, put it all back in there and put it in your closet or on a bookshelf, and you can just keep it all together. But one thing that's really helpful is we know that teachers come and go and leave the profession. There's a fair amount of turnover every year. If you're a new teacher and you walk into a classroom that's purchased this and you see it there, wow, you can open that. It gives you a link to where you order more workbooks. It identifies all of the components of the program. So you can see, oh, I've got the teacher guide, but I need these things as well. Oh, here's where I find the slide presentations. And it gives them all our contact information and things like that. So, and then of course, we've got the certificate of completion. And this year we've made that an editable certificate. So teachers can go and put student name in, the date, and it's something tangible students can have then that they could even take on a job interview if they wanted, but it shows proof of some of the concepts and some of the content that they have learned and mastered and been a part of. So if we take a look, we're going to go through just one lesson. I want to give you a little bit deeper dive or closer look at a sample lesson because they all pretty much follow the same template, our lesson plan template, but this is basically how you would teach from one of the lessons. So I just chose one right in the middle, our financial issues lesson. So the first thing you would do is you would give them that very brief pre-test, and you can see it up here on the screen. We always provide answer keys, so it's really easy for the instructors to be able to see what their students already know. And it also, when you do that at the beginning of a lesson, they begin to engage already with the content that they're going to be learning. It gets them thinking about, gosh, what do I know about finances and things like that. There might be some new vocabulary words used on the quiz that they may not even know what they mean. So it gets their interest right away. Then we move into the part where they're using the lecture notes and the presentation slides. And that's where they're teaching a lot of the main content that they want students to know about the given topic on that lesson. In many of the lessons, we have a notes page for students to be able to fill out and take notes in. It's like a graphic organizer, and we're going to talk about the importance of note taking and things like that in a subsequent slide. And then after they've learned the content, then it's called application. They're going to use the information they've learned and actually apply it. And that's where they're going to get into the student workbook and the activities. So in this specific lesson, there just happens to be 4 different activities that they're going to do in the workbook. Then the teachers can decide if they want to integrate the vocabulary development in at this point. It's optional, you wouldn't have to, but if they want to, they could print out those vocabulary cards, and I'm going to show you 3 different ways that they can use those. And then to wrap it all up, you take that post-test, and that way you can see there's specifically knowledge gained. You can objectively see what that is. So when you look at the learning part of it, or the lecture, we have some great slide presentations that have a lot of information on them. However, our SMEs who wrote the curriculum, they do even more than that. You're not going to put all of the information on the slide. They're going to put some, but then there's going to be more detailed notes that the instructor can reference in the lesson, which that takes all of the frustration, any of it's scary to an instructor because they don't know entrepreneurship. Everything is right there. They could read from that or highlight from that, but they've got notes, so they can put that slide presentation up, and they can give the students everything that they need to know about the information on that particular slide. Then we get into the note part of it, and graphic organizers are a known thing. They're a way for students to be able to take notes and keep them organized and represented in a way that when they go back to them, it's easier for them to recall. Also, note-taking is research-based. When you take notes from lectures, it improves student learning. So I've tried to include a few studies and research notes on here, and also just some great quotes that I saw in some of the research on the use of note-taking and graphic organizers. So it's just another thing that you could tell your teachers about our program, that we do use those types of tools to help increase our student learning. Another thing we try to do in our workbook activities is use Bloom's taxonomy. And if you're a teacher, you will know exactly what that is. It means that you're trying to build in higher order thinking skills, not just the low order, but you're certainly going to start with the low, but then you want students to be doing things like evaluating, analyzing, compare and contrast, applying. And all of our workbook activities integrate those use of higher order thinking skills. Those types of things are built in to the workbook activities. And you can see these were 3 or 4 of the activities for lesson 4. And they're not only learning the information in the lecture, but now they're actually applying it. And they have to explain why they've chosen to do something. They're comparing and contrasting. They're researching things. So again, something that will be meaningful to teachers, and a nice check the box thing that you can say that we have research-based work activities. So whenever we can integrate common career or common core standards and common core things into lessons, into CTE, it's a very positive thing. So vocabulary development is really important in CTE because students are going to learn or hear a lot of terms that they may not be familiar with. And this is true across every area. Think about health science and medical terminology and how important that is. Well, in entrepreneurship, they're going to be hearing a lot of different types of businesses and maybe financial words or things that they're not familiar with. So if we can help them learn what they are in context when they're reading them, they're going to get a lot more retention, and they're going to comprehend a whole lot better. So I have in the red here, I've just put in some information about research on the importance of vocabulary development, and also about learning it within CTE, because of the fact that they're learning all these new terms and exposed to them. So you can see how we've got them laid out in the curriculum on the right-hand side. Each lesson is identified in the curriculum, which flashcards go with which lesson. So they could print them out. Students could have their own set. Or the teacher could do pair students up, print out enough for each set of 2 students. That's up to them how much they want to print out. You can do a whole class method. You could get into small groups, and the small groups could discuss each one, or you could even have students have their own, and they could do concentration where they lay out the cards and they have to match the definition with the term. So something very simple, but a good way for your students to be exposed to different terminologies or terms, and learn their definitions and have a little bit of interactivity with that particular thing. And then we always end with a quiz. It's the same quiz that they started with, so we can see that they did learn a few things. Now, you might say, well, multiple choice, what good is that? Or, and there's actually studies that say if you do use short multiple choice questions and provide immediate feedback to students, it can be a very effective way to assess. So I put that research note in here in my source. And then there was also another thing I ran into. It was the 10 reasons to use quizzes, and highlighted a few in bold that I thought were great. They're good review, good for end of topic things, makes students very self-aware of what they've learned or what they haven't. So those quizzes are a nice little ad that are ready to use. And then we culminate that whole thing with what we're calling product pitch day. And if you think Shark Tank, students identify either a product idea, could be a service idea, or some kind of business idea that they want to do a business case for, and they learn how to write that business case, and they do write a whole business case, and they put together a product pitch presentation deck. And in the lesson plan, we suggest to teachers that they bring in a panel. It could be other teachers, it could be other local businesses that want to come in, and maybe they have 4 or 5 people from the community. Maybe it's parents that have a business. It could be anybody, but they bring them in, and students have 10 minutes to actually do their presentation. Not only is it a great culminating thing, but it helps students learn other employability skills like public speaking and confidence and things like that. So that's kind of the culminating project. And then just one last slide, those CTSO, those Career Tech Student Organization Connections. Every single one of them have entrepreneurship events or things that line up with this product. And I've listed them over here on the right. Some of them, their entrepreneurship events are this product. I mean, they literally have students bring an idea that they've identified. Some of them, yeah, you've got some that have business plans are the entrepreneurship event. So, if you are into a CTSO, if you're an advisor, if you do anything with that, there's likely some kind of competitive event that would benefit from your students going through the entrepreneurship program.